China's top EV maker BYD just built an electric car so innovative that it could literally break the entire global car industry. But what's even more amazing is the retail price for this car is less than $10,000. This is so cheap that even with the massive 27.5% tariff the US government has slapped on all Chinese EVs, the car would still only cost around $15,000. But trust me, this is not just some cheap car from China, because everybody in the auto industry is currently talking about this car, trying to comprehend how BYD could sell a car at such a low price. I mean, at this price, are they even making a profit on it? Tesla is now especially under threat because its cars have always been on the upper end of the price spectrum. If you're a skeptic of EVs and think they're overhyped, especially Chinese EVs, take a look at this quote from what Tesla's founder Elon Musk said at the most recent earnings call. If there aren't trade barriers established, they will pretty much demolish most other companies in the world. That's a shocking statement coming from the EV king himself, but it's not just Musk. In fact, Western automakers and governments are collectively freaking out, fearing they will be flooded with Chinese EVs, hurting domestic brands. In an open letter, a group of US senators recently urged the Biden administration to move immediately to maintain or increase Section 301 tariffs on Chinese EVs. But what's really going on here? How could one little EV from China cause the entire West to melt down in a collective panic? In today's video, we're going to break down everything you need to know about Chinese EVs, explain how this could dangerously affect the future of Tesla, and also share with you an incredible offer from today's video sponsor, Mumu, which is my #1 trading platform I use to trade stocks like BYD and Tesla. So stay tuned to the end of our video for an incredible offer. So the new Chinese EV that everyone in the car industry is talking about is the BYD Seagull. It's the smallest and cheapest car in the company's lineup, starting at an unbelievable $9,700. If this doesn't surprise you because you're thinking, well, of course, this is just another cheap, low-quality Chinese product, think again. If this were true, the car industry wouldn't be panicking and there wouldn't be much of a story here. Instead, it's the car's unprecedented cost benefit, and the BYD has managed to offer so much for so little. Just listen to the president of Caresoft, a global leader in automotive benchmarking and cost reduction consulting, as he reveals the shocking truth about this new car.
We've got the BYD Seagull.
Everybody in the industry is talking about this car because it's so inexpensive. I don't want to call it cheap. I want to call it inexpensive.
Yeah, I think everyone in the industry should be talking about this car seriously because it's quite a vehicle. It changes the definition of cheap and cheery, which basically said, oh, sell something that's just really cheap. This doesn't come across that way at all. There's so much, I think, again, to learn here, because to be able to compete in not just in a small car market affordably, but an EV small car at that price, that's just astounding.
Let that sink in. Clearly, this is an absolute game changer for EVs, but especially affordable EVs, which has long been a significant market gap in the EV industry. And this is precisely why Tesla is in trouble. Tesla's EVs have always been among the most expensive in the EV market, with their cheapest model, the Model 3, having a starting price of over $40,000. Tesla has responded to this threat by developing the long-awaited, less expensive Model 2, but it's still not expected to arrive until 2025 and is still expected to cost between $25,000 and $30,000. What's more, its US rivals such as General Motors have already been selling less expensive EVs to the public for many years, most notably the Chevy Bolt, which starts around $27,000 but can drop below $20,000 with federal tax credits. It's the reigning bang for your buck EV champion in the US since it was introduced in 2016. But shockingly, even this EV is still twice as expensive as the BYD Seagull. And even with the existence of EVs such as the Bolt, it's important to point out that the current average price of an EV in the US is more than a whopping $52,000 as reported by Cox Automotive. The brutal truth for Tesla is that it must simply face up to the harsh reality of Chinese competition. In mainland China, the world's largest EV market by far, Tesla has slowly but surely been losing ground to domestic competitors. Late last year, for the first time ever, BYD surpassed Tesla in global sales of battery, electric, or pure electric vehicles, thereby officially becoming the world's top seller in this category. As a result, BYD has quickly gained on Tesla's global market share, having now almost matched its share of just below 20%, and it's expected to dethrone the American EV maker this year. In addition, fierce price wars in mainland China have put even more pressure on Tesla, as last year, BYD cut prices for the majority of its models by 17%, on average, based on Reuters calculations. Tesla has responded with its own price cuts in an attempt to maintain its market share. But the crucial truth that needs to be remembered is this: continuing to use price wars to maintain market share will be a losing proposition for Tesla. There is just no way Tesla can build a cheaper car than BYD. Tesla's only chance is in its upcoming Model 2, which must be a truly differentiated product and prove that it's worth almost 3 times the price of BYD Seagull. But given BYD's rapid development and unparalleled efficiency, this will be a tall order. Of course, all this is unfolding against the backdrop of a steadily declining stock price for Tesla since November 2021. But if you still think Chinese EVs are overhyped and doubt that BYD could either pose a major threat to Tesla and other EV markers, don't take it from me. Just watch how Elon Musk has had to flip positions and completely change his opinion on BYD. Here he is in a 2011 Bloomberg interview, mocking the car maker and laughing at the notion that they could be a competition for Tesla.
Although there's competitors now ramping up, and as you're familiar with, BYD, which is also on the West Coast, I think they're ramping up production of their electric vehicles. Warren Buffett owns 10% stake in that. Why do you laugh? BYD is trying to compete. Why do you laugh?
Have you seen their car?
I have seen their cars, yes. In fact, at the Berkshire Hathaway meeting, I saw their cars.
Yeah.
Well, they're on a different, tell me why you're laughing. You don't see them at all as a competitor?
No.
Why is that? I mean, they offer a lower price point.
I don't think they have a great product.
Why is that?
I don't think it's particularly attractive. The technology is not very strong. And BYD as a company has pretty severe problems in their home turf in China.
Right.
So I think their focus is, and rightly should be, on making sure they don't die in China.
Now he's not laughing anymore and recently admitted on Twitter that was many years ago. Their cars are highly competitive these days. Wow, what a complete reversal. But it's not just Elon Musk. In fact, his new assessment has been echoed by countless industry executives and veterans. Ford CEO Jim Farley recently said this exact quote: "There is one huge company that is so impressive, BYD. They're in a totally different world than Tesla. They're totally vertically integrated, completely, all the way to batteries. No one is doing that on the globe." This is an absolutely remarkable, not to mention revealing insight, and one that was echoed by Volkswagen CEO Oliver Blume, who recently said last year, BYD is very, very strong. The late Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett's right-hand man, led the decision for Buffett's holding company, Berkshire Hathaway, to invest in BYD. And last year, he revealed this amazing insight: "I have never helped do anything at Berkshire that was as good as BYD. BYD is so much ahead of Tesla in China, it's almost ridiculous." He even described BYD chairman Wang Chuanfu as a combination of Thomas Edison and Jack Welch. A crucial difference between BYD and Tesla was also pointed out by Paul Gong, UBS's head of China Auto Research, which is that BYD has an incredible 600,000 strong workforce, 5 times larger than Tesla's, including an incredible 90,000 engineers. These highly revealing insights reflect the broader trend of how China has come to completely dominate the global EV industry in just a few years. Across the world, Chinese EV brands now represent around half of all EVs sold, as Chinese EV makers aggressively expand overseas. Unsurprisingly, this newfound dominance is being spearheaded by BYD, and the trend shows no signs of slowing. In 2022, BYD sold 1.86 million new energy vehicles worldwide, which includes pure electric and plug-in hybrid vehicles, and this number is more than the previous 4 years combined. But in 2023, the EV maker produced and sold an astonishing 3 million such vehicles, over half of which were pure electric. And despite China recently ending an 11-year subsidy scheme for EVs, EV sales inside the country continue to shatter records. BYD now accounts for a stunning 1 in every 3 new EV sales. Industry veteran Andy Palmer, sometimes described as the grandfather of the electric car, sums up how China came to dominate this industry so rapidly. "I've been warning about China for 15 years. I warned the Japanese, UK, and US governments that there was a real risk that China might get this right. And ultimately, this has proven to be the case. China has an international strategy that seeks dominance in overseas markets with a product, affordable EVs, that Western manufacturers aren't able to make. Again, the key advantage is unparalleled affordability while maintaining similar or even better quality. And let's not forget, China controls all the important supply chains, especially those for EV batteries, which are the most important component in an EV, and that they make up roughly 40% of an EV's cost. Essentially, no car maker or company whose products contain batteries for that matter can obtain a battery without the help of China. BYD epitomizes this level of consolidation. A recent teardown by UBS of a 2022 BYD Seagull sedan found that 75% of the components were manufactured in-house, which is double the global average, and that only 10% or less of its components come from foreign suppliers. As this comprehensive Bloomberg report points out, it's robust local supply chains like these that has made it cheaper to make an EV in China than in any other place. As such, it's quite clear how China and BYD has come to dominate the global EV market, and explains why industry veterans, such as Ford CEO Jim Farley, recently made this astonishing remark. We see the Chinese as the main competitor, not GM or Toyota. The Chinese are going to be the powerhouse. China's expansion overseas has even reached the US doorstep, as Chinese EV makers have set up shop in Mexico just south of the US border. They've already made significant inroads into North America and have big aspirations to dominate this market as well. I actually covered this incredible new Chinese-Mexican partnership as well as the United States' shocking response in a separate video, which I'll link at the end of today's presentation. Of course, all of this has put Western car makers and governments on edge, and that's putting it mildly. The White House recently released a memo stating, China's policies could flood our market with its vehicles, posing risks to our national security, with Biden adding, I'm not going to let that happen on my watch. The US government considers Chinese EVs a national security risk because it fears smart cars could collect data or spy on American citizens. But this coming from the US government is of course extremely ironic. In Europe, the EU has already launched a probe into Chinese EVs, accusing them of unfair competition due to unfair government subsidies. Once again, the irony is rich, given how many world-famous European companies, such as Airbus, have benefited massively from similar subsidies. The US auto industry has sounded the alarm as well. The Alliance for American Manufacturing released this dramatic statement. The introduction of cheap Chinese autos, which are so inexpensive because they are backed with the power and funding of the Chinese government, to the American market could end up being an extinction-level event for the US auto sector. The so-called Big Three in the US, GM, Ford, and Chrysler, have watched their US market share deteriorate from 75% in 1984 to about only 40% in 2023, according to industry data. What's more, UBS analysts recently projected that Chinese automakers will almost double their share of the global auto market to 33% by the end of the decade, and that in turn, Western car makers will lose a fifth of their global market share to Chinese rivals. Marjan Gaja, Chief Operating Officer for Ford's EV unit, states the blunt truth. What we've seen over time is automotive manufacturers eventually enter all the markets that matter. Ultimately, the Chinese will come to the US. Make no mistake, EV companies are going to be a big part of our future, but now it's time to show you how you can directly benefit from the rise of EVs. Did you know that historical data shows that April is one of the best performing months for the US stock market? This is because April is the start of the new earnings season, which is the period with the highest concentration of potential investment opportunities. Last season, Nvidia was up 16% after the release of its earnings report, and Meta not only rose more than a staggering 20% on its latest earnings release, but it rose for 5 consecutive earnings seasons. If you want to take advantage of a special opportunity in 2024, I want you to consider using Mumu, a one-stop investment platform powered by advanced data and pro-level tools. Let me show you how I personally use Mumu to make smarter trades. After the release of a company's earnings report, I simply look at if the financial data exceeds the market's expectations. With Mumu, you don't need to spend time collecting large amounts of information. You simply just click on the company's stock and are presented with the financial forecasts, including operating profit, earnings per share, and so on. With a visual presentation of market forecasts and financial comparisons of actual data, it's easy to see if the company exceeded expectations. So don't waste your time viewing over 20 pages of dense data to understand a stock. With Mumu, financial statements are all on one page. You can slide through the visualization of financial data charts at a glance to understand the company's financial status. And in the earnings section, you can also see the earnings report projections and earnings report calendar. They have integrated the core earnings report projections as well as the date of the earnings report release so that you can quickly view the key information. Mumu also supports fractional share trading, which is very useful during earnings season. I don't have to worry about missing out on some of the top companies due to high stock prices, such as Nvidia, whose stock price recently exceeded $900. With fractional share trading, I can spend as little as $5. I can use fractional shares to build my earnings season index portfolio. This way, I won't miss the opportunity to invest in major companies like Nvidia, Meta, and Amazon during earnings season. At the same time, Mumu is one of the cheapest trading platforms I've found. Compared to other trading platforms, Mumu not only offers zero commissions, but also doesn't charge any platform fees. You can trade stocks, options, and ETFs all with zero commission. After comparing, I found them to have the lowest fees in all categories, including no subscription fees, no minimum deposit requirements, and no account maintenance fees. Mumu also offers a cash sweep of 5.1% APY, so your idle funds earn a high interest rate 24 hours a day and even on weekends. They also provide a 6.8% margin rate, which is one of the lowest I have ever heard of. Starting now, new users have the opportunity to access up to 10 fractional shares from the esteemed Magnificent 7 stocks in the US market. That's 3 more stocks than the standard new user reward. But this deal is reserved only for those who sign up through my link. You can own shares in popular companies like Nvidia, Apple, Meta, and Amazon straight away, as well as enjoy a 5.1% APY. Seize this opportunity now and explore further details by clicking down in the link in the pinned comment or the description down below. Everyone, thank you for making it to this point in the video. Let me know in the comments what you think about China's EV dominance, and make sure you take advantage of today's special offer from Mumu and sign up today. As always, thank you for your incredible support, and I look forward to seeing you all in our next video soon.